I'm getting a little sick of being told how damaged my brain is because I grew up with the internet. I'm definitely a little fried for sure. Like between you and me, I think I would have done a lot better if I was born in like the 80s. But this idea that it's all bad, that there's zero advantages to having a quote zoomer brain is crazy to me because there's times when I feel like Tony Stark when I compare, how I move to these older generations. Yes, the internet has done us dirty in a ton of ways, a lot of which I've talked about already. But what about the advantages that we have because our brains grew up with it? Starting off number one, we move quick, bro. Like, partly because we are the most impatient generation that's ever touched this earth, and that's obviously bad. And I'm actively working on fixing a lot of this, but in one way, this impatience is actually good because it's a motivator to get shit done. Like, you know how many people that I talked to that had the exact same experience I did when I first entered like corporate America? We were all shocked when we realized that it would take older coworkers an hour to do the shit that we could do in like 10 minutes. And this was right after COVID. So the work from home days, this was prime bullshit corporate America land before AI, before all that. And I remember getting an email from one of my older managers, and she was like, I just want to thank you for the hard work. Like, you've been absolutely killing it, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And I'm literally reading this email as I'm queuing into a game of Warzone with the bros who were also doing this same shit at their jobs. It felt like we entered the workforce with the same mindset that we grew up with, which was like, let me bang this shit out as fast as possible so I can go back to doing things that I actually want to do. There's this joke I used to see online. It's like super relatable. It's like, shit, I accidentally became important at work. And it's because once, they realize how quickly you can do things, you're just going to get more work. So the Zoomer gets this rep of being like this lazy dumbass who can't focus. But we got to the workforce and I was like, wait, that's not actually true. Like, people my age have developed whole systems of banging out a ton of work in the first hour of the day so that they can chill for the next few hours pretending to do shit, right? And this is a corporate America problem. I don't even want to get into this or I'll just get pissed off. But speaking from experience, it's like not only do we get shit done a lot quicker, but part of that and that thought process is constantly questioning everything around us. It's like, my only reward for doing this work quickly was getting more work. A skill that we all have and we don't appreciate enough is our ability to instantly identify some bullshit. Whether that's a video, an article, a boss, a job, right away I'll be like, yeah, this is some bullshit. And I've talked about this before. This is a product of growing up with the internet. I can look at a video, not even watch it, just look at it and already tell if I can get value from it or not. And for me, it's always been like, I have so many options of things that I could be doing, could be watching. I'm not about to waste a second of my time watching some bullshit. And obviously this can backfire big time, and it has backfired big time for me personally. If you can't read a page of a book before closing it to go scroll, you're going to go nowhere in life, right? But this constant searching for value that we grew up doing online ends up translating to our lives offline. It's like, if I'm not getting value from what I'm doing, what am I doing it for? And look, I'm not saying every part of life needs to provide me value. Like, the world does not revolve around me. I'm saying that there's a reason our brains are questioning things that didn't seem to ever get questioned before. You know what I mean? Like, why am I working so hard for this company when all that does is get me more work? Why am I going to this bar and spending a ton of money just to feel like shit the next day? Why am I using social media when it just makes me feel worse? And my theory is that we got so good at extracting value from the internet that we also look for value from the real world and question, why are we doing shit that doesn't give us any? And is that a bad thing? I don't think so. I think it's an advantage. Let me know what you guys think. I just think, as a Zoomer, I'm not gonna lie, I'm done saying that over and over. It's super cringe. As someone who grew up when we did, you don't just know how the internet works, but you are the internet. Like, the internet was basically made to appeal to us. There's companies pouring billions and billions of dollars to appeal to you and me and our brains. Like, make their brands look cool, their shows funny, and, their slot bowls nutritious. Like, seriously, how many companies have we seen fail because they thought that they knew what we wanted as consumers, but just missed so bad? Like, if you look at Call of Duty right now, like, these dudes somehow missed the mark so bad that they're killing one of the most successful entertainment franchises of all time. What about when Pepsi dropped the Kendall Jenner ad where she stopped a police brutality protest with a Pepsi, dude. Like, growing up with the internet meant being constantly exposed to people trying to appeal to us and make us feel some kind of way, usually for financial gain. And a lot of times it just doesn't work, right? Because like I said, we can see through a lot of it. Our brains are like sharks in the water, but it's not blood, it's inauthenticity that we're smelling. You know what I mean? It's like, you ever watch sports or anything on TV with someone older? They will sit there and watch the commercials, dude. And I just could never comprehend someone sitting there and raw dogging like a Geico commercial. And it's not that these older people are dumb. You know, it's not that I'm smarter than they are. It's just that they have brains that were shaped in a different, older world. You know, I'm over here paying for YouTube Premium so I don't have to watch ads. Even as simple as like Googling something, dude, my brain automatically knows I need to ignore the first two results that pop up when I Google something. And, you know, it might sound simple. It might sound like nothing, but you would be super surprised how people who didn't grow up in the world that we did interact with advertising, interact with marketing. Our ability to notice inauthenticity translates to our life offline. So manipulation tactics that have worked for decades will not work on me and the bros. They just won't. Whether it's like some dude trying to sell you a course, someone trying to gaslight you at work to do their shit, or even just being around someone that you know isn't being authentic. Our brains are susceptible to a ton of traps, right? One of the biggest examples being social media and just comparing someone else's best moments to our worst moments. But falling for something disingenuous, getting manipulated, is not one of the common traps that gets us. Like, you are not going to scam me, bro. I mean, you can do many things to me, but scamming me is not one of them. I mean, think about it. People used to fall for like Scientology and shit. You know what I mean? It is a lot harder to manipulate someone that grew up with the internet. And that's just a fact. And not being able to get manipulated is a huge advantage in life that I never really hear anyone talk about. All right, so moving on. The fact that we are constantly multitasking all day, every day, and that's just how we grew up, this is another thing that's like surface level negative. But if you think about it a little bit more, if we start harnessing this ability, our Zoomer brains, because clearly we enjoy doing multiple things at once, right? People right now go through their entire day listening to someone else or something or music or podcast in the background. When that background noise is some trash, you're basically poisoning your brain, right? And sometimes without even realizing it, I'll catch myself doing this, just listening to some garbage, and I gotta snap out of it. The other day, bro, I'm driving somewhere, and I'm like, wait, why am I listening to Steve Will Do It on the Logan Paul podcast? It just came up on quick play, but like without even realizing it, like I'm sitting there listening to it. It's like, yo, what am I doing? If I wanted a lobotomy, I should just go get one, right? But our brain loves background noise, right? It just does. You guys know I'm huge on being able to just sit with your own thoughts. Like, I really believe that if you can do that, that puts you ahead of like 95% of people these days. But there are situations where you're going to want to throw some shit on, you know? And if you can make it count, it can be super powerful, bro. We live in this weird ass world where like the most successful people in their fields are giving away their secret sauce and their life experience on podcasts for like clout, you know, for free, which means you can pretty much learn anything that you want to in a few weeks of listening to some shit in the background. And yes, older heads have access to all of this too, but they don't know how to navigate the internet in the same way that you and I do, right? They cannot tell the difference between garbage and value. They can maybe multitask, right? But they cannot retain the same amount of information that we can, because we grew up in this information like orgy, dude. All we know is information, which, as you know, has had its negative effects, but also means that we can retain information from the internet quicker and while doing something else, which is insane if you really think about it. Like, I learned how to edit in like 15 minutes, dude. Obviously my editing isn't exactly professional grade, but it was something I couldn't do, and now I can. And, you know, and I can even
slow my voice down like this.
You know, I can make thumbnails and shit too. Again, they aren't necessarily good thumbnails, but my point is, like, back in the day, you had to go to some class or some course to learn how to do things, right? Learning is something every brain can do, obviously, but learning while also doing something else is a skill that we don't appreciate enough, dude. Like history, finance, philosophy, whatever it is, whatever you want to learn, it's out there and it's free and you know exactly where to find it. That's your advantage. Like I have friends who are mad smart and have never even picked up a book, which I mean, that's crazy. I definitely don't recommend that. Like you guys know I'm a big book guy, but learning is no longer limited to books or courses. It can happen while you're at work. It can happen while you're on the treadmill. It can happen while you're cleaning up your room, while you're driving. And this isn't being taken advantage of, which is crazy because, I mean, it's actually not crazy. It makes sense. The reason it's not getting taken advantage of is because there's so much garbage out there to consume, right? So our brains are way too cool with listening to garbage, and that's definitely a disadvantage. But I swear, no brain can learn faster than someone who's my age trying to figure out how to do some shit that they do not know how to do. Now, you've probably heard the term hyper-focus over and over before. It's like a buzzword at this point, but it really is something a lot of older people don't have. And I think it's because, I don't know exactly why, I think it's because they didn't have to lock in to get a Harrier, to get a chopper gunner, to get a nuke in Modern Warfare 2, like at a time when my brain was rapidly developing. Like, I don't know, pattern recognition is like this built-in feature that we have, and I think it's part of the reason that our generation loves to invest. Here's another thing that never gets talked about. It's like, if we're so dumb and lazy and stupid, it's like, why are all these young people not just managing their own portfolios, but doing a pretty good job of it? It's like, I don't have a finance degree, right? But I was managing, Clash of Clans, my Clash of Clans economy in like 2013, big bro. I've been investing since the second I turned 18, and I've learned a ton of shit on my own. It's like, yeah, I've gotten burned a few times, to say the least, but I've also made some solid investments, and it's not because I'm some big-brained, finance Chad, but it's because I grew up in this world of games and patterns where things come and go constantly. You see what gets consumed, what doesn't, and it was almost like weird how someone who's been told their entire life they can't focus, I could focus on the stock market, I could focus on crypto like a dog. Like if I enjoy doing something, I can sit there and glue myself to that the entire day. Like it's like what I do with these YouTube videos. I lock in. I wish you guys could see how locked in I get when I make these videos because I love to do it. So I can do it literally endlessly. The thing with investing that's sad is like making money on the markets isn't the problem. Like it's actually pretty easy. The problem is having enough capital to make real money. But it's not a coincidence that investing and our brains work well together. And I don't know if it's because of gaming or the dopamine that comes from a beautifully timed investment, but my brain loves it. And I know I'm not the only one because over half of my generation is investing. Everyone called me a
dumbass
when I bought crypto in 2017. They call me even bigger dumbass when they find out I'm still holding a ton of it. But it's like, let's compare rate of returns then. If you're so smart and I'm so lazy, like let's compare, rates of return to your boomer stocks. No, but seriously, the Zoomer brain, I do want to say the Zoomer brain also loves gambling. Like, let's be real here. I know this video isn't about the disadvantages, but let's just say we're very dopamine attracted. So we got to acknowledge the very thin line that separates, doing research and investing with taking a loan out and getting rugged on like fart coin or whatever, But just the fact that this huge portion of us are taking the time to invest and learning, what works, what doesn't work, proves my point about our brains and how we learn. It's like clearly we aren't skillless, right? It's like maybe our skills and our skill sets and what we're better at and what we can focus on is different because we grew up in a different world, Like, if we're being real, like this is a YouTube video. There are a lot more issues with our brains than there are benefits, but let's at least acknowledge what we do have. You know what I mean? Like I've realized a while back, if you looked at my channel and didn't watch my videos, I could come off as a doomer, like almost negative. I try not to be, but the titles, the thumbnails, sometimes they maybe come off that way, which is not something I'm trying to be because like I'm not giving up. Like I refuse to be like, oh, I'm so cooked. Like why would I even try to live life? I just don't think that helps anyone. I don't know what type of message that is or why I would want to put that out. You know what I mean? And I think if we work to reverse some of this damage, which is what I spend a ton of time, doing myself, but at the same time, acknowledge what we do have and what we are good at, I think we can be just as successful as these other generations. Like, call it cope. I don't care. Like, I refuse to to just say, oh, it's over, it's clipped, it's done. So let me know what you guys think about the Zoomer brain. If there's any positives that I missed. Thank you so much again for watching. Peace.